Good to see everyone. Glad everyone could make it. Frustrating, disappointing day on Saturday for a number of reasons. We didn't play well, and there's a number of reasons why. You can't spot a good football team 21 points and anticipate to get right back in it. We tried. We tried to find as many ways in the second half as we could, but it doesn't matter who you play when you get down 21 points like that. It's going to be extremely difficult on the road to be able to find a way to win. But, you go back and look at it. Red zone scoring, we were, I think, 1 of 3 for touchdowns. One of them, we got stopped on 4th down. That's as good as a turnover for us, so that was frustrating. 3rd down defense, probably too passive. We tried to blitz a little bit early. We missed some blitzes. They hit some screens on us. I think Coach Braun probably got extremely conservative at that point. I would have too. And it's something that they've done to us routinely over the years. First half rush defense was frustrating. I think if you look at just the rushing yardage, I think there was probably 6 runs by Pierre Strong, who is a tremendous back, that probably added up to 120 yards overall during the course of the game. And when you give up 75 on the second play, you feel like you're going to be playing from behind most of the day. And then, of course, ball security and penalties. 6 of 9 of the penalties were inexcusable. Things that we harp on daily, weekly. We'll do it again today. We've got to find a different way to communicate the message. Apparently, we're not all hearing it, and so you guys have heard me say before. There's usually 4 reasons why kids aren't able to execute. One of them is they're not smart enough. 2, it's too complicated. 3, you're not presenting the material correctly. And then 4, they don't care. And I know it's not 4 because I know our kids care. And I know it's not 1 either because I know you can't be successful here at NDSU football if you're not a sharp young man. So we got a big challenge this week on the road. Looks like weather, Mother Nature might play a little bit of a role with it. Chance of rain, maybe some flurries. That'll be good for us. I know we're going to be outside a couple days, Monday, Tuesday this week. Youngstown looks like they have their starting quarterback back, Demetric Crenshaw. I just buzzed through their TV copy of the Mo State game, and I think he had 200 yards rushing in that game. So, again, a lot of 11 personnel, gun, quarterback run game. They have one of the best running backs probably in the league in Jaleel McLaughlin. Don't quote me on this, but he might be one of the NCAA leaders in total yardage over his career. He's a transfer from Notre Dame College, where he had tremendous amount of success and has continued to have success. Hybrid 4-down team, get into some odd front. So we'll challenge our front offensive line and our tight ends throughout the course of the day, jumping back and forth, playing a bunch of cover 3 or single high defense in some quarters. But it'll be a challenge for us. Anytime you go on the road in Missouri Valley, it's going to provide some challenges. We got to have a great week of practice. It starts today. We have a meeting, our weekly meeting here at 3 o'clock, and we're going to get it cranked up and make sure that this one doesn't have any hangover effects going into next week or this week's preparation.
Approaching this, there is this, fury and rage, and how do you approach a loss like this going in when you're still in the thick of it?
Demand perfection. Demand them to do it the right way. This is what my approach is going to be. I don't think there's any reason to act as if the sky's falling right now. You're exactly right, Beth, when you say there are a lot of positives that are still out there. We're going to talk about to the fact that if we're able to get a win on the road, we're going to solidify a share of the league championship. All we can go is 1-0 this week. That's what's there. That's what's out there right now. And I think it's okay to identify the white elephant that's there. And maybe that's what it takes for some of our kids. They need to be extrinsically motivated versus intrinsically.
Red zone issues seem to go back all the way maybe to the UND game. Can you put a finger on why the struggles inside the 20?
Oh, I don't know if I can put an exact finger on any one thing. I mean, I think this week frustrated a little bit with, the ball getting knocked out of our quarterback's hand. Our quarterback didn't have great ball security, didn't seed it like he should have, coming from under center, and all of a sudden the ball was at the 3, then it gets knocked back. There's essentially a wasted snap. But I don't know if there's any one particular thing that we're not doing or people are doing to us to defend us, especially when we get inside the 10.
Is that is the quarterback situation still under kind of evaluation? Or, I mean, obviously Quincy and Cam were both available. You chose to tackle it the way you did. Is that still kind of under evaluation, or would you expect Cam with some Quincy sprinkled in moving forward?
I anticipate Cam playing.
It's another tough running game. Kind of where do the adjustments go for you on defense to make sure that you don't suffer the same fate from the running game, from South Dakota State's running game? Kind of how do you guys approach that on the defense?
We can't miss a fit. That's what happened on the first play of the second play of the game, or the first big play. Anytime a team can get half their yardage on one snap, that's frustrating. So we got to clean it up. Got to be more precise in our run fits, and that wasn't like it was a play the first time we'd seen it all week. We ran it probably three dozen times in practice to numerous different calls. So they're a good football team too. We got to get back to the drawing board, keep it relatively simple so we can play fast.
Healthy?
For the most part, we're still trying to. I mean, again, I saw him throw on Saturday. Hasn't thrown since then. I think time is the best medicine for him right now with his injury.
Hurry up offense. You guys obviously over the last decade haven't spent a whole lot of time behind. You think of James Madison in 16 couldn't quite get that going, or even last year against Sam Houston. Do you feel like you guys need to be different in your operation from a hurry up perspective when you're down 7, down 10? Or are you comfortable with kind of the way you're doing things now?
You're asking about are you talking about a 2-minute deal, or are you talking about just like in the middle of the second quarter we're down by 7?
You feel like you guys need to be a little bit more pacey on offense, I guess.
I think it all depends on when in the game you're referring to. If it's down 10 and we're in the first quarter, probably not.
From a pace perspective, when you were down 10.
I think we need to have more urgency, but we're talking about later in the game when we're down 10. I think we're talking about apples and oranges a little bit, first half compared to the second half. I do think we need to operate faster. And part of my frustration, and I'm sure you saw it on the sideline, is there was a lot of play clock being eaten up during the course of the game. And we got to get the information in from the box to the sideline, from the sideline to the quarterback to the team, and then get up to the line of scrimmage, identify safety, rotation, see the defense, and then get the snap and the cadence executed.
Who shares responsibility in that? Is that Tyler? Is that
it's offensive staff? I mean, they're all part of it. I mean, we're getting the play down, we're getting it signaled in. It just needs to happen faster. And so I wish we could come up with a magical pill for experience, but unfortunately, sometimes we're still talking about a young man who started, is it 6 games now in his career? We need more. We do it every week, at least a couple times. So, but as you can imagine, hard to emulate the pressure of a game in practice.
Part of it, like Ross said, that you guys haven't been behind very much in the last 10 years. So is it?
Well, we practice it every week. So you are what you emphasize, and we need to emphasize it more.
Goal line grading out last few games here.
Oh, I think it's up and down. I think individually there's some people that have really good games. I think collectively there's moments when we don't play very well. But overall, I know we get great effort out of that group. I know we played well enough to have a good day of running the football against what I consider a very good defense. Just some of the other issues, the penalties, the false starts, some of those things you would love to eliminate. Starting a series 1st and 15 becomes extremely frustrating.
You made an adjustment last spring for the UND game, and I think the results were pretty good and obvious in that game. Is that something you'd go back to, adjusting some personnel?
Oh, potentially. I mean, right now we're 8-1. We're playing good football. Is it the best football that we can play? Probably not. I don't think I'd tell anyone that. You guys, our football team, I think there's still areas that we can continue to improve on. I'm an advocate for getting different people into different spots, and if we think that's going to help us win football games, if we're just doing it to say we did it, then I'm not a big fan of it.
Spring season help with kind of when you have adversity, you have to battle back. How do you think that helped with this situation?
Well, I don't know if it's helped at all yet. We're going to find out on Saturday if it's helped. We need to approach it just today and get going and crank it up. We need to learn from it. And if this game, if we don't play well on Saturday and this game lingers around, then it'll be a big problem. But we need to flush it. We need to learn from it. We need to get it in our rearview mirror and move on. And there's another good football team in our schedule here coming up.
What do you sense the mood of the team was after the game? I mean, because it
was as quiet as church, and they knew. Yeah, we got smart. We got kids in our locker room that have played a lot of football during the course of their career. They have high expectations. They understand the standard that Bison Nation has for them. I understand what that standard is as well. I don't think there was any chatter on the bus ride home. I know yesterday, training room was the only thing that was open. Talked to our trainer. He said there was no conversation in there. Very quiet. Met with the leadership group today, and I walked in, and it was unbelievably quiet. And at some point, we got to get over it. That's what Saturday night's for you to be irritated. Now we need to move on, and I'm excited about this group. We'll move on in the right way.
How do you deal with the expectations with the kids? Because I don't know if they're on social media, what they do. I'm sure some of them are, but I know. I have a 20-year-old. I did not
just say that, did you?
Okay, yes, I did. But I mean, there are corners of your fan base who are, thinking the world's on fire right now because you lost a road game by 8 points to the 5th-ranked team in the country or whatever. How do you tell the kids?
I think the first thing I talked about in the locker room is I've been in that situation before. In the same locker room, in the same stadium, in the same scenario. And we were able to find a way through hard work, perseverance, some just good old North Dakota toughness, and get it going again. And so why can't this group do the same thing? We have talented young men in that room. We got great coaches. We got great support people that are within our program. Last thing I want our football team to see is me being panicked, because then I think there would be a concern. We have lost games before, and then we have been able to find ways to win the game following a loss. You're right, though. I think the biggest issue that we had a little bit on Saturday, Mike, and I'm going to get in on my soapbox, is I'm sure we have some kids that I know we have kids that listen to your guys' information that's out there nationally, and there's always the issue, and you're always combating it as a coach, is perception versus reality. All these kids think they're pretty good. They were really good at one time or they wouldn't be here. But in reality, are you good right now? And the greater space there is between perception and reality, the tougher it is sometimes to coach these young men. It's the guys who reality is their perception. They know when they don't play well. Jackson Hankey, his perception is reality. It's not like that for freshmen. It's not like that for a redshirt freshman when you're counting on them. And so you're trying to educate them as much as you can without being negative all the time, but also being extremely transparent, though.
James back on Saturday. How did you feel like kind of that juggling of?
I thought he played extremely average. I think we need to lean on Wiz a little bit until he gets back into playing shape.
Staff.
How do you address that for the penalties you had on Saturday? Is that something you did right away Saturday after the game, or is that something you do today about some of those penalties?
We talked about it Saturday after the game that we got to get out of our own way. We talked about it at halftime. I mean, the roughing the punter or running into the punter, that is something that is covered every day. We have a meeting on punt defense and we talk about a potential block. Stay off the punter, especially if you're on the backside. And so we got to find a different way to explain it so that we understand it better from an 18 and 19 to 22-year-old. It doesn't matter what I know in the meeting room. It's what these kids can carry onto the football field. We addressed it at halftime. That the face mask, that's a bang-bang play. That's an effort play. I'm not going to get too caught up into that one. But I mean, we're off the field. We're off the field twice in that series. And then all of a sudden that became a long series, and we got frustrated defensively at times.
Staff meetings like right now? You mentioned you've got, okay, you smirked, just you go. What are your staff meetings? I'll stop talking.
They're great. I love the guys I work with. We got tremendous men, husbands, coaches, leaders in that room. So
you started off saying that there are 4 reasons why things aren't working on the field.
I challenge them to find a different way. If individual A, B, and C are all struggling with different things, we can't coach them all the exact same. We need to coach him differently.
Divide and conquer situation right now that you're trying? I mean, I just imagine it seems like in what you're saying, there's almost this like need to kind of go back to the drawing board on maybe some things, maybe
I just think find better ways. We're going to do what we do. So for us to say we're going to go back to the drawing board, we're still going to run power. We're still going to run inside zone. We need to clean up the execution piece. And so for us to sit there and anticipate, or I hate to use the word assume, that a young man is hearing what we're saying or listening to what we're saying is inaccurate. We need to make sure he totally understands it. And I don't know if we have some kids, apparently because of the penalties and execution, that aren't where we need them to be right now.
to the drawing board and addressing some of like these kids, not in your game plan.
We're always addressing things and trying to educate our kids. I think, again, I think we have an extremely intelligent football team when it comes to football. And I think, you see that because of the amount of adjustments we make in the course of a game. I think a lot of other programs would only wish they could make that number of adjustments or changes.
Zabel getting healthier, or I noticed he and Mason Miller, the offensive line rotations getting a little bit more expanded.
Yep.
Is he getting healthier, or was that a performance thing, or what was?
A little bit of both. I think early in the year, he's coming off that ankle injury he had in the spring. Took him a little bit longer. Wasn't with us every day of fall camp. Needed to get back into shape a little bit. I think there was a little hesitation as far as, can I trust this? Because of this injury. And I do think he's getting back to where he needs to be, completely healthy and trusting that ankle, that he can push off it and lean on people with it.
Laughlin kid, does he resemble anybody you faced lately?
Dom, not that jumps off the top of my head. I think he's dynamic, can make you miss. Man, he can make you miss in a telephone booth probably. Start, stop, jump cut. We got to do a great job keeping the cup. We got to do a great job of getting hats to the football to slow him down.
Out of the backfield too, or is he strictly they hand him off and go, or they throw the ball to him?
I think they've thrown to him a little bit. I know against South Dakota State, saw him in Wildcat a little bit as well. So I imagine they're trying to find different ways to get him in space.
The run defense being an issue in the spring against South Dakota State. Mm-hmm. They had success running the football again. I think we've talked it to death about the size of the linebackers and et cetera. You're getting smaller trying to defend the spread. Do you feel like you maybe got out ahead of that a little bit too fast, or does the run defense issues not have anything to do with size?
I think we're reaching for things right now when we think that we're struggled with a good football team because we were too small. Are you saying that the other teams we beat weren't any good, and that's why we were successful?
No, I mean, just in general, you've gotten smaller at linebacker. There's no
unicorn like Nick DeLuca.
Right. Or even.
I don't know very many teams in the country who have a guy like him.
Normally, you got both outside backers at about 205 pounds. Do you feel like your issues against the run, against even South Dakota State or really anybody, if you're not playing the run defense you want to, do you think that has anything to do with size?
If I could. If we're not playing well up front and we're getting knocked off the ball from a defensive line standpoint, sure, I can imagine it, but you'll see when we go base personnel, we get Mason Hofstad in there, who's a little bit bigger. I think Cole Wisniewski's probably 215 now. James has probably been stuck at a little bit around 215 because of this injury and hasn't been able to develop. And Jasir's kind of a big safety type body. I don't know if 215. He's probably 210, 205, but execution is what we're looking for. We don't see a lot of teams that line up under center and just try to run the football at us.
230-pound linebackers.
When we need it the most is spring ball and fall camp. That's the most physical when it's coming downhill at us. From a under center, every snap. You've been to practice. Every snap's a train wreck. Okay, thanks. Have a good one.